for that. So today, I'm just gonna let your friends present. Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, good, good.
Okay, should I start share now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start the presentation. Please rewind it back first.
You can start whenever you're ready, yeah? Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. First of all, thank you so much for waiting. So I'm going to start the presentation. Hello everyone and a very good evening to Dr. Zalina. We're from group 5 and today we're going to present chapter 7, which is critical literacy. So before we start, I would like to introduce ourselves first. Just a quick one. We have Hasnul Rain, Aisha Azran, and me myself, Hazika. Next, please. So moving on to the technology and ideology, where ideology is a system of ideas, practices, and social relationship. It governs what is considered right or wrong, good or bad, and normal or abnormal. So they can determine which people in society are included and which marginalized, who has power, who doesn't, how wealth and other resources are distributed. However, ideology are not necessarily bad, since most people are not cautious of them taking the particular ideology they subscribe to as the truth rather than simply as one of many possible versions of reality. For instance, there are views that says technology is changing the world for the worse or technology are making the world a better place. But then both of these are extreme views because they often focus on the technology itself without paying attention to the social context in which it is used and also the intention of those who use it. Just like what we're doing right now, where we're having an online class and of course we need an internet. So in a context where we're in the middle of pandemic and it's hard for us to have a face-to-face or physical class, internet is considered something good. So it makes the world a better place, at least our world lah. But then, of course, there are two sides of everything. So internet can be good and internet can be bad. And people can abuse it, by being bad, like cyberbullying, spreading fake news and pornography. So towards the end of the day, it depends on you yourself as individual to use the internet properly instead of abuse it. So moving on. Mediation. Mediation are all humans' actions are mediated to tools, either technological tools like telephones and computers, or symbolic tools like languages and other semiotic systems. The concept of mediation is that we cannot interact with the world without doing it through some kind of medium, just like what I'm doing right now. And the media that we use play an important role in determining how we perceive the world and the actions we can take. Mediation also has to do with how we are to some degree controlled by the tools that are available to us to take some action. Next, please. Moving on to ways that media can exert control over us, there are at least 4. The first one is affordances and constraint, just like we talked about in the past class, where different tools make some actions more possible and other actions less possible. The second one is the social conventions that grow up around the use of media. So the way particular tools get used is not just a matter of what we can do with them, but also the way people have them used in the past. The technologization of practice often leads to a situation in which the way certain things are done comes to be controlled by the dominant technologies that we use to do them. So let's say 20 or 30 years ago, you wanted to share news that you're having a baby. So then you might phone or you write letters. But then since the invention of technology, the internet, and social media, the way we share news or interact with each other also change according to the dominant technologies that we have at the moment. Third one would be access to the media. The use of mediational means is always tied up with economic and political system that govern the way access to them is distributed, where it is always unequal. For instance, if you're Malaysian, you can see the differences between the technologies that urban school have and the rural school have. In the urban area, you can see that we have all these screen projector, computers. Some of the schools even have tabs. We have internet, but then compared to the rural area, we don't really have much of those. So the fourth one is the level of difficulty of the media. So media that are extremely easy to use can exert control over us by encouraging us to regard them and the actions they make possible as natural. Media that are more demanding exert control by requiring us to make a commitment to them by learning how to use it. Next, please. Now we're going to talk about login. So what does it mean by login is that the longer we use some technologies, the harder it becomes for us to get along without them or to switch to competing technologies. There are two reasons actually, because we have organized so many of our activities around the affordances of this technology, and many of our friends use them that abandoning them might result in social isolation. Like for instance, one of the famous brands that implement login in their marketing tactic is Apple, because as soon as you start buying stuff from Apple, then you find it difficult for you to move to other products that are made by other brands. Like for instance, if you own an iPhone, uh, especially if it's iPhone 8 and above, then you definitely will have to buy an earphone because those phones doesn't have a hole for you to plug in the earphone. And then, as the time goes by, you usually buy iWatch as well. And these three devices are usually interconnected with each other because, if you're an active person, then you probably use the Apple Watch to track your calories, to count your steps, and to see whether the ring closed or not. So by having all these three and suddenly you want to change it to other devices, it will affect the way you live. And that's what it means by login. Next, please. Next, just now we're talking about how media exert control over us. Now we're going to talk about how we as an individual exert control over the media. So the first one is our ability to choose the media that we use, also known as appropriate. We've talked about this before, where in the class previous weeks before, where Dr. Zarina asked us, instead of using Google Chrome to search for something, we have other choices or other alternatives. So that's what it meant by here, where we have the freedom to choose the media that we use instead of just focusing on one. The second one would be finding new ways to use them or adapting. Adapting the reason why we're adapting is to fit our own purposes. Like for instance, Facebook can be used to share personal information with friends, or it can be adapted to do other things like promoting a business. Like since we're in the middle of fasting month and we're almost there to eat, most of us use Facebook to promote their business, like selling cookies and baju raya, things like that. The third one will be changing or modifying. So modifying hardware, software to perform a function not originally intended by the designer. It is small but significant ways to make them more suitable for purposes. This modding are usually used by game developer. And if you're going to present chapter 9, you're going to see these particular terms later. And last one would be mixing, where you combine two or more tools together, such that the constraint of one tools are cancelled out by affordances of another. Next, please. Hacking. So hacking is the 4 ways that we can control media, the appropriate, adapting, modifying, and mixing, and known as hacking. So, often when people think of hackers, they think of cyber criminals who break into other people's computers, steal their data. But then in this topic, hackers refers to expert computers, programmers who get satisfaction from exploring the limits of programmable system. For purposes, what we meant by hacking is simply taking control of the media and appropriating, adapting, modifying, mixing it in a creative way instead of just simply using it accordingly. Basically, you're being creative in using the media. Thanks. I'm almost there. Please. Ways technology becomes resistant to hacking. The first one would be It encourages us to forget that they're standing between us and the reality. And transparent media encourages to regard the kinds of actions that they make possible as natural or desirable, and the kinds of action that they constrain as unnatural or undesirable. For example, a person chatting with a friend online may momentarily forget the mediational means and feel like he or she is communicating directly with the other person. Just like what I'm doing right now, where I don't really see myself facing the computer, but I imagine myself facing all of you guys. Next. The second ways would be opaque, where technology becomes resistant to hacking is when you are unable to understand it fully. And when you're unable to understand it fully, then it's hard for you to figure out how it works. And despite the increased access to information made possible by digital media, very few people know about, about how the technologies they use on a day-to-day basis actually work, because it's a lot. It's impossible for you to track one by one the technologies that we use and how it works. Please. I'm almost there. Okay. Open and closed system. Closed system is a system that does not allow anybody apart from the technology manufacturer or those with whom it has agreement to alter it in any way, and usually requires that users purchase a particular device to run particular software. For instance, the Apple Corporation. As you can see in the picture that I put aside, if you're a first time user of iPhone and you decided to buy iPhone 12, then you need to know that it doesn't really come with the power adapter. It comes with only the lightning cable, but then, Apple being Apple, instead of including the power adapter, they decided to sell this wireless charger called MagSafe that looks like a hockey puck there, where you can stick at the back of your phone and it will charge automatically. And of course, what does it mean by closed system is that, of course, you can still buy other charger, but then it will feel more inclusive to have the same brand that goes along with the first one, with the first item that you buy. The second one will be open system. Microsoft Windows and Google's Android are example of more open system which can be run on different devices, though this system are still licensed by the manufacturers. The last one, at least for my part. Please, Aisha. Okay, this is just, some joke just to make the presentation less stressful. And doctor said that she has, migraine. So I hope this will at least ease the pain. Imagine selling a kidney to buy a new iPhone and it comes without a charger and headphone. And the last one will be, after selling one kidney for iPhone 12 and now you have to sell the other for charger, since iPhone 12 Pro Max costs around 5,000. That's just simply for a phone. And then you need to buy the charger, which costs around 200. So around 5,500 if you want to buy an iPhone, and that amount of money can you use to pay your fees in UPM for 2 semesters. So that's for my part. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to Hasnorain.
Thank you, Hasika. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good time so far. So I will continue presenting the ideology and technology of language. As an introduction, I would like to propose a question. Are we truly aware of language as a mediator of meaning? Well, we tend to think that we are communicating with people directly as a medium of language, tends towards transparency and opacity. Let it be digitally or through analog technology of a language. In order to develop critical literacies with digital technology, I believe the quote, "practice makes perfect," is ideal by using the language manually as a start. Language acts as the mediator of meaning. We consider using language to construct reality to be natural or normal, as we are unaware of how language actually works to promote ideology. Some aspects to highlight on the important things about language are stated in the next slide, which I will explain very briefly. Next slide, please. Two things to highlight on the important traits about language are, firstly, the agenda. We can never critically evaluate a text by not having any idea on who produces the text and what their agenda might be. Whenever language or any semiotic system are used to make meaning, they always have an agenda. The meaning of the word agenda is the underlying intentions or motives of the particular person or group. We do not know one's true intention, as one can be not completely straightforward when using a text. For example, an example that we can use is when your old acquaintance, where you're never really close to before, suddenly reaches out to you out of the blue, letting you know that they recently crashed someone's car. From that, you can safely assume that maybe the person may have an underlying agenda in borrowing some cash to top up theirs in order to pay back the damage that they caused. Next, language is never objective. To further clarify, the reality that text illustrate is never a true reality. And that language basically acts as a filter, a system of inclusion or exclusion. Whenever we choose to include or emphasize one thing in our version of reality, we are also choosing to exclude or downplay something else. Next slide, please. The versions of reality that we construct with our language are which words and how we choose these words to connect with to form proposition and form proposition. Proposition is a statement or assertion that expresses one's judgment or opinion. This brings us to the next part. The function of language in forming proposition is uh, the ideational like the ideational function of language. I'm so sorry for that. This is because it allows us to express our ideas about reality, which then face with a problem that these logical connections are not always entirely logical. Next slide, please. To, to simplify this, an example always reinforces the concept. Based on this statement, if it wasn't for the quarantine, e-commerce would not have been popular or used more. From this statement, though it seems to establish with the cause and effect relationship, this relationship is neither logical nor scientifically variable. Since e-commerce did exist and play quite some role in this new globalization, we have no way of knowing if they would have occurred solely due to the quarantine. Next, it confounds association with causation. Just because the e-commerce are used frequently by the ones affected from the quarantine, it does not mean the quarantine itself solely contributes to the rise of it in any significant way. Next slide, please. On the other hand, there are several linguistic tricks that can be used to make the proposition seems more natural, seeming which is transparent, and more difficult to question, which is a fact that was presented by Hazika before. The one of the tricks are using presupposition. Presupposition brings the meaning of where writer or speaker assumes certain information is already known by their readers or listeners. Next slide, please. Here is an example of presupposition based on this advertisement of iced tea by the company Chatime, Malaysia's most innovative bubble tea outlet. This advertisement assumes that you have never had iced tea like this before, which is clearly an assumption made without much information about you personally and what your particular past experiences and preferences with iced tea. What makes this as the best iced tea experience that you ever had is the freshly brewed iced tea that you rather have, which is stated at the bottom of the advertisement. This last proposition, though debatable, it's very difficult to question since it is hidden deeply inside the bigger proposition about your own IST preferences and experiences. Next slide, please. Nonetheless, texts promote ideologies through how they represent the world and through how they represent relationships between people. Linguists call it as the interpersonal function of language. There are various ways to do so. One of them is through adoption, certain genre or styles of writing or speaking. Different type of text creates different kinds of relationship between the writer and the reader. Next slide, please. As an example, a legal notice puts the reader in a different kind of position vis-a-vis the writer and the text than an online advice column. It is more formal and is sent by a person or an entity with respect and some grievance. Compared to the second example, blogs, such as from blogspot.com, it might allow readers to comment on what they have read. But then again, they don't have the capacity or other tools like Wikipedia to allow readers to alter the actual text that they have read. Blogs may sound more friendly and inviting, and as it is more or less like a person sharing an experience that they went through with their friends. Next slide, please. Writers have the ability to create a relationship with the reader just by the kind of languages they use, such as formal, informal, technical, poetic, etc. Writers also need to take note on their text features, the text structure, and visuals when they construct big ideas to make it easier for the readers to understand and get a good grip of the text that they are reading. Next slide, please. For example, Curio is an application whereby they handpick content from leading publications and turn it into beautifully narrated audio so you can listen to anytime, anywhere. Based on this advertisement, it portrays that the readers can become most interesting person in the room just by downloading and using this application. It also includes a review and summary of the app in the description of the advertisement. The readers are basically provided with a ton of great reason to download Curio. Lastly, it also creates a sense of closeness with the readers by addressing them directly, which is for you to listen to anytime, anywhere. Next slide, please. Lastly, writers or authors adopts and projects certain kinds of identities to create a relationship with the readers. They often portrays what they are doing in a certain way. As an example, in the realm of fiction, authorship identities may be more playful or more strategic. J.K. Rowling, who is the author of the very much known and loved series of the Harry Potter novels, used her initials to protect her work from gender bias. She then published her recent mystery novel under the pen name Robert Galbraith and invented a biography for him, giving him life. She knows how powerful the reader's knowledge of the author's identity shapes the way a book is read, in a way as if they were the frame which projects their work through lenses. We read or look or listen through these lenses that was projected with expectation, associations, sympathies, antipathies, bias of all kinds. In order to hide one lens, Rowling handed us another, which then creates a new atmosphere and environment for another fine work of author without ruining her original identity. That is all for me. I will now pass the presentation to Aisha. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ain. So I'll be presenting about ideology and digital technologies. Um, Text and medias, they promote reality and social relationships and identities as natural or desirable to users. So, um, like text, media are never objective. So particular version of reality is promoted through the choices they require users to make. So it is normally expressed in terms of drop-down menus or the preference in the settings. The choices presented are always instantiate system of inclusion and exclusion. So they limit actions we can take and the meaning that we can make. So there are a couple of how do you say, choices that I'm going to explain later, which are the digital versus analog, locked in, presupposition, data filtering, and relationships. Now, the first one, what are the digital versus analog? So the digital, there are more choices available, and it is expressed as discrete alternatives for the users. While analog, what is that? While analog, we invent our own choices by creating some things that we can control. Now let's look at the examples. Now on the screen, you can see the two different types of piano. The upper one would be the digital piano, and the down would be the acoustic or the analog piano. So let's see what Theo Van Leeuwen 2012 said. On a modern digital piano, I cannot do what Billie Holiday did with her voice, or what I can even do to some extent on an acoustic piano. I cannot make the sound rougher or tenser as I play. Instead, the designers of the instrument have provided me with a choice from a wide range of piano sounds, some tenser, some mellower, some higher, some lower, some smoother, some rougher, in a synthetic kind of way, and so on. All I can do myself is phrasing. So what Theo mean is, in acoustic piano, he can definitely try to play and try and error on certain sounds that he would like to achieve, while in the digital piano, the sound is already built in without having the same features as the acoustic piano. Now let's look at locked in. The longer we use some technologies, the harder it becomes for us to get along without them or to switch to competing technologies, as what Hazika has explained just now. So in Jaron Lanier 2010, he relates to MIDI format. Okay, the MIDI format is what you can see on the screen there. In 1980, it is used to represent sounds of a keyboard, and it is less accurate for other sounds. For example, like violin or human voice. As you can see in the picture, normally it is used when you are recording music videos, when you are recording sounds, then you will use this MIDI format. Now, let's move on to presuppositions. As we all know, presuppositions is also known as assumption, and as what Ayn has explained just now, it's where the writer or speaker, we assume certain information that is already known by the readers or listeners. So the choices are given to you where it seems normal and others seem unusual. So for example, the default setting of software programs, they may inevitably influence the user's perception of normalcy. So we as users, we are given many choices, but the default settings may steer us towards a certain set of normative behaviors and meanings. So it's not just about the design choices, but the social context within which meant to be used to perform. So this can be seen in video editors. For example, the software in Apple, iMovies. Um, I I can presuppose that, in video editors, that I can add my medias, my photos or my videos, and then I can edit them following with, following with what I want. So for example, here, I have an example. I open my video editor and like you can see there's a lot of features there. There's my media. I put my videos over there and I can choose audio. I can even choose different kind of audios that I want. And then there's a lot of options for the titles, for the backgrounds of the video, and also for transitions to make the video, how I say this, more interesting. Now, let's look at the data filtering. The proposition that the value of a piece of data is best determined by how popular it is. So, like we have known before, we have Google's personalized search and we have Facebook. We use that a lot. We also use other social medias, for example, like Instagram. We use what else? Snapchat, probably. I don't know. So essentially, we are brainwashing ourselves by limiting based on our past search or preferences. So, for example, last week I searched about this critical literacy that has something to do with this topic. So I searched for media format and ideology and digital technologies, and somehow it does bring me to let's see, keywords. It does bring me to keywords such as digital literacy and other search keywords. It is also, for example, like if another example, sorry, you can use this on your social media where you can type a keyword and it will show a bunch of other keywords that related to that particular keyword that you are looking for. Now, the last one, we are looking at the relationships. Technologies create particular relationships between users and producers and users and users. So for example, let's take a look at Microsoft PowerPoint. The advantage of Microsoft PowerPoint, we present information using tools that the software provided to us, and there's a lot of ease of use to it. So for the disadvantage between us users and the producers, which is the Microsoft PowerPoint itself, the disadvantage is the inability to represent the complexity of certain topics, technical issues, and lack of flexibility. So for example, if as a user, I would like to represent something to do with medical, maybe it's a bit hard for me to how do you say, it's a bit hard for me to explain using certain technologies or using it's hard for me to show. I need to include videos, but unfortunately that day maybe that video cracked or something, I cannot play. There's a lot of disadvantage at that point. So in conclusion, for critical literacy, we are trying to learn how things work as much as possible. So how the way language works is based on our opinions and view, or the way software works based on the behavior and our relationship in handling this critical literacy. So that's all from us, Group 5. Thank you for listening.
Doctor, you
Doctor,
muted
you
yourself.
need to okay.
Doctor, you're still mute, doctor.
Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, good job, everyone. For the presentation, and you have used many examples that you have found yourself, not restricted to the ones in the book. So that's good. That's good because it shows, whether you have understood or not. But Hazika, you're super fast. Really fast.
Really, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. But okay, this is for the future. Just slow it down because this is about peer teaching as well. Okay, so I will compliment, so we just need to make sure that people can catch. Luckily, this is recorded, so that's a good thing, right? So they can go back and listen. But I would like to go back to the slides again, if you can share. I do have some questions.
Right.
Okay, good. Nice visuals. Okay, nice slides. Yeah. Can you put it on slideshow mode? That's better. Okay, let's go to the first one. Oh, I'm going one by one. It's only 5:30. I have some questions because it's good that you have actually covered all the important aspects of the chapter, but I do have some questions, and I hope you can answer this. Okay, so there are three parts essentially, this chapter. I hope the rest you have also read, at least attempted to read the chapter just at a glance, although I would prefer you have read thoroughly. So there's a technology and ideology, and then technology and what's the other one? Language, and also ideology and digital technology. So clearly this is about critical literacy, and ideology seems to be the main idea, isn't it? Yeah. So in this slide you have talked about what is ideology, isn't it? It is the system of ideas, practices, and social relationship. It governs what is considered right or wrong, good or bad, and normal or abnormal. So and you did say ideologies are not necessarily bad, but most people are unconscious of them. Okay. So can you have said some examples of ideology? Can you give say some of them again? Give us some of the examples again of ideology.
So what I said just now is that, there are views that say technology is changing the world. And also at the same time, there are views that say technology are going to make the world a better place. But then these two ideology, you can't really take it, like 100% because they are extreme views. The reason why I said these two ideologies because they often focus on the technology itself, and without paying attention to the social context in which it is used. The example that I mentioned just now is that, just like what we're doing right now, where we're having an online class. And in order for you to have an online class, you need to have an internet. So internet is considered technology. So people think that, okay, internet can give the advantages for us and also the disadvantages. So for the advantages, or this part where making the world a better place, or at least not really a world a better place, at least for us since we're in the middle of pandemic, so we can't really have a physical class. So the least thing we can do by having a technology is using it to gain knowledge, just like what we did right now. But the idea where changing the world for the worse is that since we have internet, of course, where we can use it properly, and some others might abuse it by using it in for their own benefits, like spreading fake news or sharing pornography, cyberbullying others. So that's what I mean by the ideology, and it doesn't really necessarily bad because it depends on the whole context as well. You can't really just see it on one side. So that's what I meant by that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Very good. So ideology, it is something that people tend to believe that is the truth, isn't it? Yeah. And it's like it's natural, it's facts. Whereas it's not necessarily, as you have said, not necessarily the truth, but people tend to embrace it. So actually there are two spectrums of views, right? Like you said, there are people who say technology is what was it? Will make your life
the world a better place.
Yeah.
Make
And
the
the
world
one
a better place and make it worse.
Make it worse. So there are two extreme views actually when it comes to technology. So there's the term technology, what do you call that? Digital utopianism.
Utopianism and also digital dystopianism.
Yes. Okay. So this I hope you understand what is utopian, what is dystopian. Do you understand? Do you know what it is?
Utopian means it's something good and dystopian means something bad.
Yeah.
Dystopia.
Yeah, okay. And also the rest of the class lah, yeah. Okay, I assume you know lah. This group you're supposed to know anyway, right? So if you have watched you know a lot of movies, you know, there's like a dystopian society. It's like less than perfect. Like after the apocalypse, you know. If you watch, what's the name of that? Uh, Something Hunger what? Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
The
Yes.
Hunger Games is like an example, the film of a dystopian where everything goes haywire. You know, nothing is good. Everything is like chaotic. So people have thought that, you know, technology can be bad to you. So this is like this digital dystopianism. Yeah, so there's about a lot of books. People have also people you can these people, this the you know those who feel this way, they are also called digital, what you call that, skeptics. Yeah, digital skeptics. So they don't believe in how, you know, technology can bring good, you know, technology. Can bring can improve our lives, but clearly with the pandemic, it's not something that you can choose to some extent, isn't it? You need it for education, in order to work. So it's part of your life now. If you refer to that Maslow hierarchy, it has gone down a bit. You know, the need to use internet, it becomes something that's like a basic to many of us right now, because it's the only way for us to live, as in to get connected. So so that's the idea. And then there's at the end of the spectrum, you know, it's completely disruptive. Yeah, okay. So next, can we go to the next slide? Is there a question? Let me just see. Check my question. Yeah. So has to do with how control by the tools that are available to us to take action. Yeah. So that's the concept of mediation. Yeah, the concept which we have talked about. Anything that is used using the media certainly contains some sort of bias. Yeah. And that is why you have to possess some sort of critical perspective on whenever you know you look at materials on the internet. But for this topic, it's not just about, you know, looking at how to process text. It's about the whole idea of using digital itself. Okay, you have to understand that you know, it's not always about helping you to have access to information. It's not about helping you to get connected. It's also you need to also have that awareness that what seems to be very convenient to you is in fact something that has been predetermined by the developers of the apps or the software. Okay, and I'm going to jump to the end, but we're still going to don't change the slide yet. That is why we have you know, the examples by Aisha, where what was it? Facebook, Facebook, where you get to chat with people, or what was it? I can't remember. Let me see. Yeah, so it's like they okay, the one on what you call that, creating the piano, the electrical piano. Can we go to that slide, the second last or third last one?
Let me quickly.
And then afterwards we go back. Sorry. Yeah, so this one is good, you know, having something digital is good because you get to do things. You get to come up with other you know, many creative works, creative how do you call it, songs and whatnot. But the thing is, because it's so digital, you can only use what's being offered there, you know, what is available, the what was it, the choices, the sound, the tenser, the mellower and whatnot. Okay, but you know, if you want to do something a bit more creative beyond what's provided by the digital equipment, you can't. Okay, so that's the difference between the digital and the analog. Yeah. Okay. So or you know, what you, it's about, basically it's about human. Right now, when people use digital equipment, when they use gadget, they feel like that's it, you know, when actually there should be more, and they should be aware that, you know, this gadget provide some medium, but you know, you are not supposed to be constrained by this, you should go beyond that. Okay, and that is why, okay, there are the concepts of the transparent and opaque. So let's go back to the top again. Sorry.
No,
That's why I told you the other day, you know, you should have sent me the slide so that I can play around later. So let's go to the next one, the next concept. Access to the media. Hang on, let me see. I think I have a question on this. Okay. Okay, I will remember what was it they wanted to show. Oh yeah, it was opaque and transparency. Okay, I want to ask you this. So there are 4 ways that media can exert control over us. Okay, so you know, to counter, no, to this is like the view that actually media, they control us, and there are 4 ways. One is through the affordances and constraint, right, as you said, and then there's the social conventions that grow up around the use of media. I want to ask you the next one, access to the media. In what way can the media exert control over us as far as access to the media is concerned?
Oh, I'm sorry, wait.
Point
How
number
the
3.
media,
Yeah.
okay, so how media access control over us? I don't really catch the next part.
Yeah, explain how, but with the point for access to the media.
Oh, okay. Does it really have to do with the economic and the political system, or we can just simply ignore that part? Since the access to the media depends on the economic and political system as well.
So in what way can the media exert control over us as far as the point for access to media is concerned? Can you explain that?
Oh, I think the answer would be, since we're using it every day, and basically it's a necessity in our daily life. Again, during this pandemic, so for instance, if you're using a social media, it's a need, since you can't really see each other. So that's the only way for you to connect, through the images, through videos that your friends share, and also with the news as well. I think that's what it meant by the access to the media. And from there, the way we view the world would be based on the things that we see at that moment. And that's the reason why they can exert control, since, you know, we can't really go out and we can't really do anything that involves, you know, having sitting or standing close to each other. So that's the way we are going to see the world, since you know, through the lens of media, instead of having our own eyes to see it. So that's what I think the access to the media means.
Okay lah. Okay. So basically we rely so much on the media. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Also, your point there is always tied up with economic and political system that govern in the way access to them is distributed. So it's like, you know, you rely on the media so much, and if you don't have access to the media, then you become like not functional. You can't function well in the society. So it's like this digital technology is so pervasive. You need them. You rely on them. But once you lost contact, or you are unable to use media, okay, for whatever reason, maybe, you know, certain parts of the country where it's not affluent enough, you know, they don't have, they can't afford to have internet, for example, then it affects education, for example. Okay, so that's another issue lah. Apart from that, you rely so much, but because everything is on media, is in media, the education, the entertainment, the information from the government, and if you can't, if you don't have access to the media, then it will affect you to function as a member of society. Hang on, can I need to switch on lights. Okay, right, that's better. Okay, so good job. Okay, let's move to the next one. Lock in. Okay, so this idea of lock in, so you talk about Apple. Can you give me another example of lock in?
Another other than Apple. Okay, so let me think. What are the things? Can I talk about cars?
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you're buying a car from Honda, so everything that you need to go to Honda. I mean, like for instance, if you need to what the things that you usually do once you reach the mile, where you go to the place instead of, if you're having Honda, you don't really go to Myvi, or you don't really go to Perodua, you don't really go to Toyota to, check your car. So that's what I meant by login, since the examples that includes brand. So one of the brands that include login in their systems is usually a huge brand, just like I mentioned just now, where Honda, where if you need to update your car, I'm not really sure the term, I guess it's update.
Is it service?
Yes, service. If you need to service your car.
The other members can also help you. Don't worry.
Sorry. I forgot the term. It's been a while since I drive a car, so so that's what I meant. But if you need to service your car, and if you have a Honda, then you usually go to Honda service outlet instead of other outlet. Because your activities, because all the things that involve you driving have already been implemented in your mind, that if you have something like problems with the car, then you would immediately go to the outlet instead of other outlets. That's one of the examples that I could think of at the moment.
Okay. Good. Any other suggestion? Hasno, Ain? No?
I think Hazika explained it.
Oh,
very
already,
well.
cover already. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Ain, for helping me out.
So the rest, okay, you should understand the concept of lock-in, the concept of lock-in, where in a way it's like it's related to the notion of exclusivity, to a particular brand, okay, to some extent. So it's like Hazika put here, like the brand Apple, they, when the moment you use that, you rely on that, and it's hard to get along without them. Okay, but if you look at technology, in general, and I think it's a problem that's faced by our younger generation. So it's like, everyone is using phone or tab. So without tab, they just cannot get entertained. Okay, because it's like they are using the technology so much that if you don't use it, you may miss out on things, because everyone else are using the technology. It's like complete dependent on the technology, and if you don't join the crowd, you'll be left out. So sometimes it's you feel like it's unfair, but it's the way our things are happening right now. Everybody is moving towards that, so you need to be aware of that. Okay, it is not necessarily the case, because sometimes you can, but yeah, with the pandemic, everything has to be online, but in the past, there's we can meet up, and we can have meetings and whatnot. Yeah, but the lock-in, it's about that, but it's also about brands making sure that the users are loyal to them. Okay, can we go to the next one? Yeah, so this is the other end of the spectrum where we can exert control to the over to the media. Yeah, so you need to understand the concept. If I ask you in the test which Abdul Rahman really love to sit in the test, Abdul Rahman, you're so funny. Okay. Can't wait to have the test. You know what? I will have the test when we have covered enough topics for in the textbook. Then you have enough to be tested, which can be a bad thing because if we have early tests, that less materials to read, right? But no, life is not like that. So it'll be slightly later lah. Yeah, okay. Especially when you are so stressed out on things, then that's where I will have tests. Okay, so we have at the one end media controlling us, through to the 4 points. Yeah, that's more, but okay, based on those 4 points, and then we can exert control over media. In fact, we can do that. Oh, there's a term, technological determinism. Did I talk about that just now? Hazika?
Not really.
Yeah,
No,
but we do have that, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. If you recall, I don't know, linguistic students, I hope you have learned the determinism, the language determinism. Is it familiar to you? Linguistic determinism.
Not really for me.
Really?
I'm not sure about others. Yeah.
Sapir and Whorf hypothesis. Sapir and Whorf hypothesis.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've heard that one.
Yes. Last time.
Yes.
All linguistic students must learn this. Okay, it's a famous view. And I don't know, some people think it's quite controversial, saying that language determines how we perceive the world, right? So that's why, it's good if you are multilingual, because then it's kind of like make you see things from a different perspective, because this idea of by if you're able to speak in one language, and the way you see it is slightly different if you speak in another language. But some people say it's not. Determinism is the extreme version of that. So here, technological determinism is where the technology determine the way you live. So that's very extreme idea on that. But in fact, people have argued, no, we can actually control the media. So this is what Hazika has described. We can choose alternative choices. We have the rights to choose. Okay, we have the rights to choose. We can choose whatever. But of course, nowadays it's all the power, the big brands are controlling it, right? The iPhone or Samsung and whatnot. Okay, so it's still kind of like there are choices, but not a lot. Okay, and then we can find new ways to use them. Okay, so we decide when we want or when we don't want. It's when you feel like you can't move on, you can't present without having a particular technology. So that is bad, because it's like that is an example of technological determinism. It's like it runs your life. You just cannot function without it. Like, you're not going to eat because your phone, your internet is down, and therefore you cannot call for Grab food. Okay, example lah. Okay, but maybe you can do other things instead of not having internet. You can call, handphone call or something. Yeah, so it's like you adapt them. So in this case, in this example, Facebook is not just about get connected. It's also about promoting your cause. It's about business. Oh, hang on, sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So it's about Facebook. Yeah, it can be used for other things, for people to make money, for people to promote their songs or their book and things like that. So we use them for other. So you've got to be creative. So the technology is there, and it's us who decides on that. And it's also the same with changing or modifying, the modding. I don't know if the term modding is trending. It's not so much, isn't it? But yeah, this is like a small proportion of the population who can do this. yeah,
Yes.
gamers or game developers or maybe even hackers, and mixing, where you combine two or more tools together in such that the constraints of one tool are cancelled out by the affordances of another. So normally these two are, you know, especially not everyone can do it. Yeah, those who have the enough knowledge on it, the experts will be able to do this. Okay, let's go to the next one. So that's hacking. Okay, next. Yeah, transparent. Okay, so you did explain that, Hazika, but can you explain again? What does it mean by, why is transparent good? The concept of transparent.
The concept for this part, the reason why being transparent has become resistant to hacking is that because they make us forget that they're even there. So the technology makes it look natural, so we don't even realize that we're even using the technology. What else can I say? But then of course, it's dangerous as well because it makes us less conscious since we don't realize it was there. And what we experience at the moment is mediated, and that's the reason why it says here that the media encourage us to regard the kinds of actions that they make possible as natural, and also the ones that they constrain as unnatural or undesirable. So that's what I think transparent mean, and becomes hard for us to hacking. So I guess that's the why.
So transparent is a good or bad concept?
It's a bad concept actually.
Mm.
Is bad because they make us forget that they're even there. Like let's say,
Okay.
you know, when we don't
Okay,
okay, like
Go
when
ahead, continue.
okay, when we don't even realize that we have a medium in front of us, we tend to do something unconsciously. Just like for instance, if you have Twitter and you're using it while you're mad, so you end up say something bad and post it online, and a lot of other people can actually read that without even you realizing it. Then of course it's a medium for you to communicate, but then you know, it can also be a bad thing since you don't realize that when you're talking something bad, not just you yourself can read it, the rest of the world can read it as well.
Mm.
So I guess that's it.
Okay. We often associate transparent as being good, isn't it? We want transparent government. We want transparent statement. We want everything, you know, everything to be laid out in the open. Okay. So that's the norm. But in this particular domain, as in a topic, okay, transparent is not necessarily a good thing. Okay, as Hazika said, it is something that at the surface level is good because it's smooth. You know, it makes us forget that we are using media. We are talking. I'm talking to you. I'm teaching you. You know, I'm not using internet. I'm not. No, it's like it's beyond. I see through it. Yeah. I don't see media as a medium. So that is quite bad because as Azika said, we may do things that we might regret later. Okay, the fact that, you know, it's a platform that can be maybe accessed to other people. So by having a transparent media, it's good from in the sense that it's natural to us. You know, it's like our second nature. You just talk, you know, you are not constrained by you know, in the past it does, you know, because it's so weird, isn't it? I mean, talking to this little camera on the laptop, but now it just becomes your second nature. You don't care anymore because you get used to it. That's the human nature. We try to adapt, but sometimes when you kind of like forget that there's something in the between you and your friend, or it's through Facebook, this technology can also do other things. And you forget to question that. For example, you know, Facebook, okay, you interact, but at the same time, it sucks in your data, okay, it will read your habits, you know, your the behavior, your online behavior. And as we have heard, you know, last year or last few years, how Facebook has sold this data to other companies, you know, about our details. Okay, it's not so much our bank account or anything, but it's the habits, which can be quite personal. The videos that you have watched, things that you have browsed when you want to go online shopping. So these are, it seems harmless, okay, and some people might not care, but when something is as smooth as this, you know, you're using internet to communicate, when it's actually doing something else. So that is something you need to take into account. That's where you become critical about the use of technology. The fact that, you know, and then you question, why is it doing this? Can it do this? Can it do that? So this is where that critical part comes in. Okay, so that's transparent. And then let's go to the next one. And then we have opaque. Okay, opaque. So it's not, okay, for your information, it's not the opposite of transparent. Yeah, okay. So it's another concept, although, you know, you have transparent, you have opaque. You know, it's opaque. It's opaque. Right.
I mean, you can't really see through it.
Yeah, it's like blocking completely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this issue of opaque is also, is it good or bad?
It's good for us, I could say that.
Why?
Then it's bad for the one who's going, because our information will be safe, because those who plan to hack our system or the information that we have, since the system is hard for them to understand, therefore it will be unable for them to figure it out how it works. And when they are unable to figure out how it works, then it would be difficult for them to hack the system in order to steal our information. I could say that.
Okay. So it's good for the developer lah, isn't it? For the technology developer. Can you hear that? Oh, it's like thunderstorm over here.
Yes, it's thunder.
That's why I left my washing out there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's good. It's good because it can be good because we are, you know, it's hard for us to understand it, you know. And therefore it's hard for us, if we are hackers, to reprogram. So that can be a good thing, right? Okay. So next. So this brings us to the next concept, okay, the open and closed system, this opaque thing. Yeah, opaque thing. So basically, as far as technology is concerned, there are two types, the open and closed system. So I know Hazika has explained it, but can you give me the advantages of having an open system, Hazika, or other group members?
One of the advantages is that the open system, I don't know, this is based on my experience. I see it as something a little bit more less expensive actually than closed system. For instance, closed system, you know, you have Apple. So when you buy an Apple, then you usually you can only access something that are made from Apple through Apple only. But then, you know, like for instance, what the App Store, some of the App Store, only those who have Apple products can only access App Store. And I remember there's this one application for digital artists where they usually use Procreate. So Procreate is an app where allow the digital artists to do the digital drawing, and it costs you around 40 ringgit. And if you decided to buy from App Store, which is the closed system, you can't really transfer it to open system, which is not really a good thing since you already spend quite some money to it. And I could say that Procreate is a really it's a really good application. So it's not really worth it for you, how to say this, for you to have a closed system. So open system is way much better because you can access it from other devices as well. It doesn't even matter whether you use Android, what kind of Android, doesn't matter whether it's Samsung or Oppo, things like that. So I think that is one of the example of having open system instead of a closed one. You can access it from all sorts of devices without considering the brand that sells the product.
Mm. Okay, good. It's interesting because I asked about open and you start with talking about the closed system. This is like semantics, you know. In order to explain what is white, and you say it's not black. It's good. You know, it's
Okay.
I do semantics as well. So it's like, you know, in the past, it's like, why do people like, you know, they talk about the antonyms and, you know, the opposite, but now, yeah, it makes sense, you know, in order to explain something, you talk about the opposite. Yeah. But yeah, open and closed systems are two issues that have been discussed a lot. Yeah. Android is open, isn't it? Anybody can contribute, can develop and whatnot. Whereas the closed system, it's iPhone. iPhone is a good example of closed system where they kind of like exclusivity again, you know. They make sure that you know, the system, the software cannot be hacked, and if let's say you need to alter it, you need additional thing, or what do you call that, you need to kind of like complement it, you have to buy another iPhone product, right, the application. So that's the you know, the issue. So I may ask you, you know, in the test, you know, what are the advantages or disadvantages on open and closed systems, or the advantages of login. So make sure you understand all the concepts, yeah, in digital literacy. Okay, good job, Hazika. Next.
That's the end for my part, at least.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Ideology and
Thank you, Dr.
technology of language. So are you ready, Hasnorain? Hasnorain, is it? You call it Hasnorain, is it, or Hasnorain?
Both is fine.
Both is fine. Okay, right. So now we talk about ideology and technology of language. So it's like rather complex concept here, isn't it? Okay. So let me see. Okay, next ideology and technology of language, right? Okay, so this is about, okay, the thing with your slides, Hasnorain, you know, there's a lot of words in there.
I'm so
But it's a good thing
sorry.
that you slow it. No, it's okay, you don't have to apologize, you know, but it's good that you give also example, just like Hazika, you give your own example. So that's fine. So when you talk about language, it's the same, you know, the language used in everyday communication, as well as language used in using technology, because whatever we do, okay, it's always being mediated, and when something is being mediated, it's being constructed by someone. Yeah, it's been constructed by someone. There's always someone who will, even though it's recorded from the authentic source, the ones is being sent to you, it has been modified, you know, truncated, taken bits and pieces. So whoever's doing it will certainly have the agenda, right? So here, as Hasno said, yeah, there's always, when people say something, they will have agenda, like the example given, yeah, when someone never say anything to you. I have that experience before, you know. I met the person, and I met a person on a like an event, and then for about 5 years she was quiet, and then one day she came and contacted me, and I was like, okay, hi. And then, you know what? She wanted to sell something, MLM. So it's like, you know, it's not so much she missed me or anything. That's agenda, an example of agenda lah. Okay. Anyway, this idea that things are never objective. Yeah. It's you have to take into account the agenda and the hidden motive behind it, right? So next, let's look at the next one. Yeah, so there are two concepts, okay, that you need to understand. That's the thing called propositions, and there is another one, presupposition. So here in this slide, okay, you talk about the versions of reality that we construct with our language are which forms and how we choose these words to connect and form proposition. Can you give me an example of a proposition, Hasno?
For example, something that we assume the listeners or the readers would understand it completely. For example, I am very nervous. um, how do I say this? For example, if like the example that I provided, which is if it's not because of the quarantine, e-commerce would not have been popular. So
Okay.
they assume the writer assumed that people use e-commerce just because it's quarantine and people cannot go out, when it's not, basically, because e-commerce has been widely known and it's been used before, and the reader assumed that e-commerce was only used because of the quarantine.
So that's an example with proposition.
Proposition, something that the other person assumed that they know. That
Okay. Okay lah. Okay. How many of you take semantics? No, semantics is not offered this semester, yeah. I think it is, isn't it?
Pragmatics, I guess.
Pragmatics. Okay. Proposition is something with an opinion or judgment. So if I say the book on the table, it's just the book on the table, that's it. That's not a proposition. But if I say the book on the table is heavy, okay, so that's proposition there. That's my judgment or opinion about something, you know. It's informative. So that is how we communicate with others. Yeah, we have propositions. We just don't say things that are just like you know, unless it's effective communication, right? It's meaning, it doesn't have to have meaning, but if you consider the context, it has meaning. But proper sentences normally, you know, they contain propositions, and that's how we kind of like convey our intentions and whatnot. Okay, so ideational function of a language, the function of language in informing propositions which allow us to express our ideas about reality, which then faced with a problem that these logical connections are not always entirely logical. What does that mean? Hasno?
I'm sorry.
The second point, what do you mean? Which then faced with the problem that these logical connections are not always entirely logical.
What I was trying to say is basically the function of language in forming proposition is the ideational function of language. By ideational function of language, it allows us to express our idea about reality, but then when it is faced with a problem, that logical connections are not really logical.
Yeah, that's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay lah. So we do have, like, you know, this is not exactly media, but we do have like these cost markers that kind of like contribute to the flow of ideas. So it becomes coherent, isn't it? Yeah. So that's part of that lah. You know, it's about basically it's about how language is about conveying your ideas, you know, expressing opinions and whatnot. So let's move to the next slide. The next slide is the Next one, next one. Yes. So the propositions is quite straightforward. Okay, it's quite straightforward and like quite transparent, yeah, explicit lah. But sometimes there are underlying messages, okay, that are also underlying meanings that are also delivered through utterances. Yeah, okay. So this is where the presupposition comes in. Okay, presupposition is where writer or speaker assumes certain information is already known by their readers or listeners. So this is like it's understood based on the what you call that, the utterance. Can we go to the next one? Have you got an example of presupposition, Ain?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Okay. So
Uh,
here you talk about proposition. What is the presupposition?
The presupposition is this iced tea is not like the other iced tea, which is
No.
people never had this iced tea before. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What's the proposition?
The proposition is the iced tea is
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
the proposition is you never the advertisement says that
Okay,
the
try.
proposition is okay, I'm so sorry. The proposition is this is like the best iced tea that is that one can ever have,
Okay.
I guess. That's the proposition. And the
Presupposition?
presupposition is what the writer assumed, that nobody had this kind of iced tea before. Like the only iced tea that is this good is available only there, if I'm not mistaken. Oh god.
Okay lah, a bit. Okay. Do you have any other example?
The only thing I can think of at the moment is when someone said this phone is new, so we assume that the person does have a phone, like
Okay.
something like that.
Something like that. Okay. So okay. Fair enough. Why I'm emphasizing this is not because I think you are bad at this, but because it's part of the task that I will give you. Okay. Hang on, yeah. Let me just show you something. Okay. Here, okay. If you look at Hasno or Ain, which one do you prefer? I don't want Hasno Ain. It's like too mouthful.
You can call me Ain, doctor.
Ain lah, Ain better. Okay, you've
Okay.
never had an iced tea like this before. Okay, so the presupposition, one possible presupposition, there's many presupposition you can come up with. Number one is iced tea exists. That's one presupposition. It exists. You know, but that's basic lah. The presupposition, there are different types, existential lah, macam-macam. But anyway, another presupposition is you have tasted iced tea before. That's underlying meaning. So you have tasted before, but you have never tasted this like this before. So the presupposition is you have tasted iced tea before this. It's just that for this one, you've never. So that the underlying meaning that's the presupposition. Okay. Okay, hang on. Can you stop sharing so that I can share mine? Yeah. Okay, let me just show you. Okay. Can you see? What can you see? Presupposition. Can you see that?
Yes, you can see that.
Okay. So this is an example of presupposition. Yeah. Let's look at now from below lah. From below. Salah. I should be the bottom first. I'm using my sister's phone now. Okay. So the presupposition is. Can you guess?
The sister has a phone.
My sister has a phone. Yes. Okay. Anything else?
Your phone is broken.
I have a sister. Hmm. That's the presupposition.
Yeah, the sister.
Okay. So that's the presupposition. It's not obvious, but it's there. My sister, I have a sister. That's one presupposition. Another one, my sister has a phone. So the statement is, I'm using my sister's phone now. So that's the presupposition, the underlying. Number two, I wish I had studied medicine. What is the presupposition here? This is like learning pragmatics. Okay.
The person did not study medicine.
Yeah, so that's the presupposition. I wish I had studied medicine. You know, the person did not study medicine. They wish, same thing lah. They wish they can go to Paris now. What's the presupposition? Same thing lah. Medicine is useful now. Okay. Gouging, that's slightly different. It's not about usefulness. That's assuming. Presupposition is not assumption. Okay, it's there. It's definitely facts. So we say medicine is useful now. I wish I studied medicine. Yeah, that's like medicine is useful, or it can be medicine is cheaper now, or medicine pays well. You know, I can be successful. So that's like more assumption. Presupposition, it's facts, definitely. So here, I wish I had studied medicine. I didn't study medicine. How do you know? Because it's in the past, isn't it? I had studied. When something is in the past, it didn't happen. Okay, the next one. They wish they can go to Paris now. Ain, you wanted to say something, Ain?
They couldn't go to Paris.
Yeah.
They are not at Paris. Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to Paris. Yeah. Okay, so that's one. That's the other one. So presupposition, it's always, if you're a lawyer, lawyers, they like to use presupposition to trap people during cross-examining, you know. So an example, a famous example. This is not the famous example, but the same kind of question. They always do this. Did you, if they ask, you know, what do you call it? A plaintiff, is it? Someone who is being accused. So they are asking this question. The lawyer, no, not the lawyer. Who? Not the attorney. Who's the other one? The person who from the court. Can you tell me what's the name of the role of that? The person. The prosecutor. Okay, we'll ask this question. Did you enter the house before or after they switched off the light? They switched off the light. So this is a question. Did you enter the house before or after they switched off the light? So what's the presupposition?
The person is already in the house.
No. Wrong.
They switch off the light.
Okay lah. Can lah. They switch off the light. So at some point, the person did switch off the light. Okay. Not the person in question. Okay, right?
The
okay, anything else?
The person is not in the house already. The person left the house. No.
The person entered the house already.
The presupposition is the person actually entered the house, has entered the house. Did you enter the house before or after they switch off the light? So the presupposition is you entered the house. The question now is whether is it before or after? Okay. So it's trapping, isn't it? If if they say yes or no, the plaintiff will definitely be guilty, isn't it? Okay. So this is like the question that trap the presupposition. So if it's done cleverly, it's another thing. Also, I have used it when my children were younger. I always used with them. So you want to brush your teeth before or after you change your pajama? So it's like they have to brush their teeth, okay, before they go to bed. So that's presupposition. Okay, I hope you understand, eh? Okay, the
Thank you,
class,
Doctor.
not just Ain. Sorry, Ain, I'm not being personal to you.
No, I'm sorry. I should prepare more.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Because this is not a pragmatic class. Yeah. This is, but it's one of the points that you need to do, and it's actually one of the tasks. Use the presupposition. It's part of this. That's why I need to make sure you understand what it is. Okay. Can we go back to your slide again?
Sure, just a second. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, okay, let's move on. So that's presupposition. And then we have interpersonal function of language. Yeah, so another point about the fact that language is interpersonal function, it's about they connect people lah, isn't it? Yeah, relationship between people. Okay, so let's look at how technology have a role in this. Let's look at the second one, next one. What is this? Oh, this is an example. Okay, move on.
Yeah.
Move on. It's okay. Next one. Oh, go back. Okay, so writers have the ability to create relationship with readers by just the kind of language they use. Can we go back to one more? Go back. No, back. Up.
Hold up. Okay. Is it this one? Or...
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yes. Why? What is the point of you showing this just now? Hasno or Aisha? Hasno.
Me.
I
did this.
Okay.
This is an example of interpersonal function of language. There are various ways to do so, which is one of them is by adopting certain genre or style of writing and speaking. For example, if you write a legal notice, it puts the readers in a different kind of position, which is it's more serious, it's more formal, and when it's compared to blogs, people have the freedom to write informal and like share their experience as if they're sharing it with their friends.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Good. So you think about, because this is digital literacy, right? So when you discuss, we need to link it to the digital use of language lah. Yeah. So in this case, so this is Ain has given an example, legal notice. So that's an example where the analog version lah. Yeah. So you have notice there, and then puts the reader in a different kind of position vis-a-vis the writer and the text rather than online advice column. So with the digital technology, okay, sorry, I just saw that lightning. Scary. Okay, so with digital technology, they provide various ways in which readers can respond. Yeah, so the interaction is this is the affordances. So as Ayn has put here, blogs allow readers to comment on what they have read, but then again they don't have the capacity of other tools like Wikipedia to allow readers to alter the actual text that they have read. So these different platforms have different affordances that they offer in order to make readers interact, because that's the way people they create interpersonal relation between the readers. So digital technology basically enable the development of the interpersonal connection between reader and the writer. Okay, so through this lah, so an example is blogs and Wikipedia. So it is good, it's good in a way. So the next one, so there are actually, if you read the book, there are three ways. Okay, next one please. And then there's the format. Okay, they allow the reader to use, and they use the style whether it's formal or informal. So that's what you mean by that. Yeah, okay, can we go to the next one? And you have that, yeah, this one, which you have used. What's the highlight here? Can you please say again, Ayn?
This advertisement, it's basically an application where they handpick contents from leading publications and turn it into audio so that we can listen to anytime and anywhere. So
okay.
based on this advertisement, this picture, it portrays that the readers can become the most interesting person in the room just by downloading and using this application. And the style of their advertise they advertise is creating a sense of closeness to the readers. For example, they use for you to listen to anytime, anywhere. They use and addresses the readers directly.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the style of writing. And I don't know if I have covered this with you. Yeah, advertisements or persuasive, any form of text will always try and reach out to, and this is all about business, isn't it, nowadays? You know, it's about get connected and make money, make profit. So it is important that we talked about this in attention structure. It's the need to make sure that the audience or the listener feel that you are addressing them. Attention economy, you know, it's about getting the attention from the public, but in order to do that, you have to give the attention. So one way to do it is by using, you know, words like you, addressing, so people can feel like there's some sort of bonding between you and them. Okay, so that is what has been used. This is an example of that lah. So good choice of example here. You know, like you is personalizing. In a way, it also reflects the culture, the Western culture lah. You know, Western culture is highly individualistic. You know, they kind of like champion this idea that everybody is an individual, like you're worth it kind of thing. So it's all about you. It's like, it's all about you. What was it? There's an advert there, tagline. It's all about you. Yeah. So it highlights the need for that person to be the consumer. Okay, so that's how people they manipulate the language, and this is not limited to just digital technology, but by having this, you know, but you know, it is something that even when you communicate with on digital medium, it is something that's useful as well. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Yeah, next one. Oh, finish already. Let's go back. Another one, the third one. Let's go to that J.K. Rowling again. No. Okay, yeah. So the third one is by adopting certain kinds of identities to create relationship with the readers. So this is like again, it's the need for the readers to kind of like be interested, to be appealing to the readers. Yeah. So they create certain identities so that people will be inclined to talk to you or to kind of like get connected with you. So this is an example of that, where J.K. Rowling have used another pen name for that. Okay, good. So let's move on.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Good job, Ain. And then we
I'm
have
so
the
sorry, Miss.
ideology and digital technologies. Okay. Who are you? Aisha.
Okay.
Okay, Aisha. What is let's go to the choices presented are always instantiate system of inclusion and exclusion, which is to limit actions we can take and meaning we can make. Okay, so if you look at the point on the right side of the slide, okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing, Aisha?
The right side? Oh, you mean the choices?
The choices are presented in instantiate system. The point on the right side of the slide.
Is that a good thing? What do you mean by is that a good thing for? I mean,
what are
for
the
us,
advantages or the disadvantages of this?
Let me think for a bit. That would mean that we have to, well, we are given a lot of things to choose upon. So of course, there will always be a try and error for us to test out on which one is good for us or which one is not good. So I guess there's no specific advantage or disadvantage, because it depends on the users itself. I mean, that would be my opinion on this, because maybe some users like certain features on these choices, and some other users say, oh no, I don't think this is for me, so I'd rather not use these features, or I mean choices.
So that is, you're saying, it's kind of like neutral lah, yeah?
At least for
yeah, okay. So one of the good things about the the digital, it's good in terms of the interface. You've got like drop down menu, and you can just preference. Do you want it to be in English or in your own native language, or you want it? There's a lot of options. So it gives you the idea of you have the freedom. You have the freedom to you have the choice. You have the choice to decide what. Okay, it's the awareness that you must have. Can we go to the next slide? The awareness that despite that the choices are available, they are in fact ironically limiting our choices. Okay, because it has been pre-decided, it's predetermined that what kind of preference do we want. So that is one aspect of digital literacy that the point is trying to make by Hafner, this guy, the author of the book. So with digital, there's more choices expressed as discrete alternatives. Okay, but in real life, things can be quite subjective. Different people may have different ideas on what they want. Okay, and can we go to the next one? Is it the piano thingy? Yeah, like the piano thingy, the one that I have mentioned just now. We can decide which mode, the piano sound and whatnot. But what if you want something else that's different? That's like, if you're a piano genius, then you know the kind of the quality of music that you want. But it's somehow you can't, because the digital, it's limiting, and therefore you have to have that awareness lah. You're not bound by this. But the thing is, with other users, you have lots of choices. You can have different types of melodies, and it's like, wow, you can come up with many things. But at the end of the day, if you look at the last line, all I can do myself is phrasing. It's not about expressing the really creative part of yourself. It's about being creative with whatever choices that's available to you. So that's the point about the digital technology, the idea. Okay, it's like they give the illusion. Of course, throughout the years, not throughout this, even now, the developers are trying to figure out what do customers want, and they will try and do it. Because in the past, let's say we can receive call, and then people want to see, then we can receive call with pictures. And then, no, we can receive pictures, and then we can receive calls with videos, and we have video calls. Okay, and I remember when I was young, like when I was standard two is what, 8 years old. I remember I played with my friend, and we had this ideas, science fiction, and we kind of like talk to each other using phone, and we use phone, but it's on our watch, and it was so fun, and we was like that night I went to bed with a smile on my face. It's like, wow, it was so fun, because we imagined we could talk to people using our phone, and we pretend it was funny. But it's like 30 years, 40 years after, from that time, it's a reality now. So people, my point is that, the digital, the developers of the gadget will try and address this, but at the end of the day, it's still about about choices that have been predetermined. Okay, I hope I make sense. Can we go to the next one? Yeah, so this is another description of locked in. Okay, Hazika has talked about this, but Aisha has described this again, but I don't understand. Why did you choose this again? Can you describe how this example can describe locked in, Aisha?
Okay, it's actually, I took this example out of the textbook that we have, that you asked us last time. But it's basically, do you know, I'm neither a musician, okay, I'm not, but if, let's say, you wanted to record a music, let's say, from your synthesizer, you will use this MIDI format to transfer it into your computer. That's why I chose this example, because without this format, you won't be able to, what's the word? You won't be able to transfer, to normalize the music in your computer itself. So there's absolutely no reason for you to use it if you don't use this format. I'm trying to say about this whole music thing. That's why I use this for example for locked in.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, next.
There you go.
Yeah. So this is another example of presupposition. Choices are given to you. It seems normal, others seems unusual. What is this?
Well, again, it's from the textbooks. It looks normal. Probably. Well, the choices are given to you. It may look normal to other people who have been using it, but maybe you are a first-time user, so you are not familiar with the choices that are given to you. So you are still trying to figure out, how to use this and that, and to apply it for you to use in the future.
So what that social context mean here? If you put social context there.
Social, not just about the. So it means not, what I'm trying to say, social context is basically how do you, it applies to video editors. So how do you want to use these video editors to kind of socially promote that video. So for example, I'm using my example right now. I use video editors to edit my videos before I post it, let's say on Facebook or on Instagram. So I mean, you to promote myself, let's say. So it's within that social context.
Okay. Okay lah. The first part is good. It's good. The first example. Okay. Yeah. So we have these choices, you know, the choices, the preferences, like the you know, scroll down menu, which one you want. So you have that options on what to choose when you use the what you call that, like you use filter lah, you know, use filter which choice you want, like something retro or with animal, whatever. So you use filter, right? So you feel it's wonderful, but in fact you can be more creative than that. So the point is that you know, it depends on the context. Some people may find that's good enough, yeah, but sometimes, and it is normal, but sometimes, you know, in other contexts it's not normal. So that's what it means by that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay, not just about the design choices, but the social context. So the point is you need to consider the context in which it is used. The social context includes the situation, the task is being used for, as well as the users. Okay, the users and the recipients, the producer of the text, as well as the recipient of the text. Okay, which would be the most optimal choice for them, or the most normal choice for them. Okay, thank you. Next. I think that's the last one. Is it?
Next is just
okay. Data filtering. Next.
Sorry.
Relationship. Yeah, data filtering. Okay, last one before we end this. Create particular relationship. Okay. In what way?
In what way? It's basically how we want to use that certain software. That's the relationship that I understand from it. So like the example that I gave, Microsoft PowerPoint, is the relationship between that software and us users. So how am I going to use that certain software in considering my work done? And for users and users is basically how I'm using this PowerPoint to maybe explain to other people, like what we are using now, what we are experiencing now.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, right. So yeah. So another point is all about relationship, isn't it? When you talk about the use of the what you call that, technology, it's also about not your competency in using it, but it's about how you develop, your create relationship, get connected with other people. So we have looked at previously how language is used, and here, okay, the digital technology, how it is being used to create, to connect with others. So here in an example is Microsoft PowerPoint. So different softwares or different apps will have different means or ways on how to create interpersonal relationship or just relationship. Yeah. So in terms of PowerPoint, as Ayn said just now, it's about you being able to present something. Okay. But okay, there are constraints, right? So in the past, the basic PowerPoint, you have the slides, and you're there, and you just present. Will there be a channel where your listener will be able to get feedback or not? So that kind of relationship. So sometimes now it's okay because we have Zoom and we can present. It's wonderful, isn't it? You can use slides and you can present, and then we can have discussion afterwards. So that's good. So that's how we can kind of like adapt. So we use slides, and then we have Zooms, two different softwares, but we combine them so that we can achieve this online thing. Last year when I taught this, it was like the first MCO, you know. It was quite hard to organize classes. Zoom was, you know, we were not good at it. I had to use Google Meet at that time, and it was like some people couldn't have it. So what happened? I just recorded like I did lah, you know, when I the slide that I have uploaded, it has my lecture. So it was okay, but it was not okay. It was good. The student can have access to the notes, but there was no feedback. Well, I mean, now we have live session. It's not as if you ask me questions, is it? Okay, but the chances are there, the opportunities are there for you to kind of like ask questions if you don't understand. More interaction and more spontaneous. So those are the affordances and the constraints imposed by the technologies. Yeah, in terms of relationship. I hope it makes sense to you. Does it make sense to you, Ain, and the class? Are you okay?
It does.
It really does, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
okay.
clarifying.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
It's 6:40 now. It's 6:40 now. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. The class, do you have any question? You can stop sharing.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Now I'm going to share screen. What is it that I'm going to share? Is the task. Okay, can you see that? I will post this. This is the same thing as your friend. I just extracted. When I talk, I referred to this as well just now. Okay. So this is the task that I want you to do. Read the article by Nicholas Carr called "Is Google Making Us Stupid?" and discuss how he uses different strategies to convince you of his point of view. You see, even from the title, he was quite, he catch people's attention because he used the word stupid, the S word, yeah. It's quite rude, the word itself, but he's doing that, he's including that as the title to catch people's, this is strategy, you know. Okay, so this is quite an old article. Let me just show you the article. I will upload it onto the internet. Let me just share. Where is it? Hang on. Let me just. Alamak, where is it? It's gone. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me share. Can you see? Okay.
Yes.
It's actually about 12 years ago, but it's actually a practice for you and for a task for you to show me your ability to identify. So this is taken from the Atlantic. Okay, Atlantic. You can also browse, it's available. Okay, you need to subscribe. So I suppose the atlantic.com is an online magazine, but I have saved this. I will upload on internet. It's quite long. It's about 10 pages, not that long because it has things in between. Okay, so what I want you to do is to read. Okay, and it's about his argument that internet is not exactly a great thing, or maybe not. So what I want you to do is to read, and then let's go back to this one. Share. Okay, can you see that? Okay, read the article and discuss how he uses different strategies to convince you of this point of view, of his point of view. Okay, so number one, you identify first what is his point of view, and then okay, discuss how he uses different strategies to convince you of his point of view. So actually I've given you the hint already, you know, the strategies. He used, number one, appeals to the emotions with personal stories or anecdotes. So you discuss that. You just explain, and you might want to refer to which part, yeah, of that. Cites academic or scientific studies, yeah, You know, when you write, this is the art of persuading people. Some of you are going to present your proposal, right? For the seminar soon. So, you know, in order to convince your audience, you need to give facts. So number 2, cites academic and scientific studies. These are some of the techniques used people to convince people that I'm saying the truth. It's not opinion, it's facts. So which part in the article that he has done that? Okay, and is it something that support his argument and whatnot? And then number 3, uses presupposition. So presupposition is a powerful tool. Okay, he's saying something, but there's underlying meaning there. And if you said it quite often enough, you know, people will kind of like believe it, like it's kind of like instilled in your mind. And then, okay, so that's his strategy. And then which part where you can find where in which he fails to consider opposing arguments. So this is about detecting bias, okay? Bias. Because sometimes when people argue, they just say it from one perspective. Okay, so try and be critical about this. Which part where he said something who give point, but actually, hey, hang on, this is one-sided. Okay, which part? And then the last one where he uses logical fallacies. Fallacies is like argument lah. Argument like jumping the bandwagon. It's like everybody's doing it. If you don't do it, you wrong. You'll be wrong. Okay. Or you know, what else? The examples of fallacies. This is something. Yeah, that's bandwagon. Another fallacy is like you be personal. You know, somebody said something, but because that person has done something bad in the past, not related to the point the person is making, and therefore his opinion is invalid. So that's another fallacy. So fallacies is it's part of critical thinking element. The different tactics that people use in order to kind of like counter argue an argument. So what points could you make to dispute Carr's arguments? Use Google or another search engine to find counter evidence. So this is another one. Okay, this is another one. The point where you need to kind of like counter against what he's arguing. So basically, okay, you need to identify the tactics that he has used, okay, to convince the readers, and then you yourself try to find the other side of the argument. Okay, right? Any question? No question. Happy? Happy? You're happy? Or are you shocked by this? Are we still? Am I still showing this? Are you okay? Am I like still online?
Yes,
Yes,
you are. Doctor, we are fine. We are fine.
Oh my God. You know what happened this morning? Everything went kaput. So yeah. So it kind of like stopped my class this morning. So please respond. And I was not aware of that. Okay. So have I stopped sharing?
Yes.
I have stopped sharing.
yes.
Are we okay, people? Are you shocked? Are you crying?
Just shocked. Almost, but no.
Okay lah. I give you 2 weeks to do it. Okay.
Okay, Doctor, sure. 2 weeks.
Who is that? Who's that?
That's great.
My favorite student. Adiba. You're my new favorite student.
Really?
Presupposition. I have another favorite student. You see?
Who's your first?
My old, yeah. You're my new favorite student. Who's my old favorite student? I wonder. You have to detect the presupposition in my next utterance. Abdur, really? Yeah, my favorite because he reminds me of the test. Actually, my heart skipped a bit as well. Am I supposed to? I have not prepared anything. Okay, right. but I have this one very eager learner in my class. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop.